John, so for those of us out there who might be hearing about MMTLP for the first time, can you give us the Reader's Digest version of what MMTLP is and how it came to be?
Yeah, so MMTLP is actually an extension of what was to be a non-trading Series A preferred dividend that was issued as a result of the merger that Torchlight Energy did with Metamaterials back in June 2021. The Series A preferred shares were issued to all holders of record on the record date, and it was designed to be a placeholder for the value of the oil and gas assets that were part of our definitive agreement that we reached with Metamaterials. Those shares were issued in accordance to that agreement in June of 2021. And then roughly 4 months later, the Series A preferred was applied for a ticker by two market makers using an obscure methodology to get stocks listed, and with no involvement from the issuer and with false information on OTC markets about myself and the Torchlight organization. And they began to trade the Series A preferred in an effort to, we believe, cover short positions that were carried over from the merger that resulted between Torchlight and Metamaterials. That ticker stayed trading for about 14 months and had all kinds of volatility and information, both good and bad, spread about it. In November, I think it was December of 2021, Metamaterials decided to actually take that Series A preferred and spin the assets out into a private company. They proceeded to file a registration statement in July of 2022. And at that point, the entire world, including all of the market makers and all the holders and all the shorts and MMTLP, knew that that the Series A preferred was going to be spun out into what became NextBridge Hydrocarbons, a private entity, but publicly reporting because of the amount of shareholders that were in the transaction. So long and the short of it is that about 4 months later, the SEC approved the S1 that basically gave the details of the spin out. And then a few weeks after, FINRA finally gave approval on their corporate action to give instructions, supposedly give instructions to market makers, broker dealers, and market participants on how to handle the transaction in the last days of its life, so to speak. A lot of that information was handled very poorly, we believe, by FINRA, and actually it was the corporate action that was submitted by Metamaterials was actually changed and modified and given as an edict to Metamaterials that this is the corporate action that FINRA has approved, and if you don't like it, then you're not going to get approved, basically is what they were saying. And then so they issued their corporate action with the indication that the stock would trade for 2 days. If you wanted to be a NextBridge shareholder, you could buy in those 2 days period. But after that, it would trade for 2 additional days, but there'd be no buying in order to basically allow for the positions to close. It would only be those that were short or position close only to close out a position. So during this time period, there was a lot of volatility in stock. The stock was heavily shorted on the last day, which indicates that somebody knew something was about to happen. At least that's our opinion. And then after that extremely volatile day of about 13 million shares, the offer sheets that were described on level 2 and all the offers that were into the broker dealers basically had offers of $100, $200, $300, $400 a share. And we believe that at that particular time, FINRA halted the trading because they knew that there was going to be a problem with the potential settlement of shares. The extraordinary event truly was extraordinary in the fact that if they allowed those shares to trade for 2 days and the shorts to cover, it would have been extraordinary profits for those who held MMTLP, in my opinion. So now, since all of that happened, we've been doing a lot of investigations. a lot of things that come forward, including the recent FOIA information that came out. And so there's been a lot of light shed on what truly happened during that time period. So we can discuss that here in a little bit, but that's kind of the overview. A lot of people got stuck in the stock. Some wanted to be NextBridge shareholders, some didn't. And when when FINRA halted the stock, they trapped longs that were ready to sell the next 2 days, and they also trapped shorts that we're going to cover. So it's a very interesting situation we're in currently. The stock is frozen in time, even though MMTLP doesn't exist anymore. NextBridge Hydrocarbons does. And the spin out of NextBridge Hydrocarbons is really still in limbo because they don't know who their shareholders are. They don't know how many shares they truly have outstanding. And the corporate governance side of it, in my opinion, is really going to be lacking for them. So again, this problem needs to be fixed. We'll see where it goes from here, but we're pushing on every front that we can.